Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles. We're going to continue our series about morphs, and today we're going to be talking about a morph I really like. It's another underappreciated morph. But once we finish talking about it, we're going to slide over to our Patreon page. If you're not a member, you should check it out. And we're going to talk about what our plans are with that morph in the future, because we have some cool things I am working on with it, and some things I really want to do. Some are going to happen this year that I'm really excited about to see to kind of see what's what with it as we move on. This isn't a new morph. And it is not a morph that has a known super form. At least I've never seen it or heard of it. And we're going to be talking about Calico. Now, before we start pulling some Calicos out, there is a Calico issue I want to cover out there. You will hear also sugars, and you'll hear a lot of argument, is Calico and sugar the same? Everybody says yes. All these people here say no. What's the real answer? I can tell you it's kind of like anything. Not anything, but there's a lot of morphs like that. If you keep the lines separate, you're going to have a different look. You may have something expressed different ways. If you mix them all up and then, helter-skelter, it's all going to be in the same thing. I think they're actually going to be the same thing, attached to the same part of the allele. All of that, I think people try to bring them together and you don't get anything like comboed. So that would tell me that most likely that's what's going on with that. But that doesn't mean they can't have a different look if the lines are kept separate. Kind of like I think is going on with black pastel and cinnamon, right? Separate, probably on the same, they are on the same allele. They do make a super form, so if you breed the two together, but they do have a slightly different look. You can tell them apart, and that's because those lines have stayed pretty separate, because the super form sucks, because it kinks. Beautiful, I want one, but I'm not going to make one because it kinks so bad. All right, on to Calicos. We're going to start with this female here. She's a pretty fresh shed female. Now she is one that is being bred this year, and this is what I would consider to be a low white calico. So when you start looking at these, what you're going to look for, and I'll show you a few different calicos so you really get an idea of everything going on. See this white speckling? White scale, white scale, white scale, white scale. Calico causes that white, and that's how most people, there's a lot more of it on this side, are going to identify a calico. Now, I've seen way more white than this, and I'll show you some examples of some combos that have a lot more white and some that have less. That is not the only marker on a calico, though. If you're only looking for the white, you may miss a low expression calico. Calico's kind of like pied. She's a low expression, but she can throw a very nice high expression calico. People who have the original sugar lines, I think, tend to show the highest expression, at least based on pictures, but not always either. So if you really want the high white. Another thing to look for in these is a tail pattern. So if you look, kind of a normal pattern, kind of a normal pattern, normal pattern. Oh, what's going on here? As you get that back third, you get a lot of weird patterning. Everything kind of links up. It's very, strange. It's all kind of melts together is the best word for it. It doesn't typically sink all the way down like a lot of other things do. Like this drips all the way through. This tends to not. It all kind of becomes one blob with that high yellow outline. So you'll see that in calico. When you look at combos, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, this is a telltale sign of how you're going to identify calico, even more so than the white. That tail pattern will be a dead giveaway. So let me put this one up. Oh, hi girl. Get in there. Get in there. Let me get you another straight calico first. This one expresses differently. He is in shed, so don't mind that. Won't make a big difference for what we're looking at. Now you can already tell, has a lot more white going on through here. Way more white on this front half too, right through there. On this half, you're going to see there's just more white. A lot more white scalation going on, right? All the way up through here on the tail. It's usually more apparent in the back part of the snake too. But again, he looks really dark because he is in shed. You still see kind of this normal type pattern. When you get back here, it's not as linked as it was on the female, but you get some elongated patterning, especially right here. You can see it's not dripping all the way through really well like we talked about. And then on this half, you see even more of an elongated pattern break and then another chunk. And you can see I'm talking about how it tends to not run all the way through. So you can kind of really see on him what I'm talking about. I keep saying what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to show. See, when you're trying to do like presenting, if you find yourself saying the same word over and over again, like whatever it may be, in this case, me was what I'm talking about, just try to find another way to say it. Otherwise, people will start to chuckle. I do it myself all the time. But let's move on. So anyway, There's what we're not talking about, but we are, is that elongated pattern. So you can kind of see it expresses different here than it does the female. They're both a pretty good example of different ways. Him of the white, her of the elongated tail. So let me put him back. And then I promised you a couple of combos. I haven't kept a lot of calico combos. I'm only going to have 2 to pull out, but they're going to be great examples of what I'm talking about. See, I did it again. With the not expressing in the white, also expressing with a whole lot of white. So the first one I'm going to show you is one that doesn't express with a whole lot of white at all. Almost no white. As a matter of fact, I do believe we were the first people to ever make this combo. Now, she looks a little thin. She did just lay eggs very, very recently. As a matter of fact, we did a video on that. About the only white you're going to see is like that scale there and that scale there. And that would not be something that, there's one over here, that I would look at normally and say, oh man, that's a calico. I guess there's a little bit up in here too. But just, it's very, very low expression on the white. We've made a handful of these. She probably has the most white of any of them. Them being low expression on the white is very normal for this combination. Where it's a giveaway, as you can kind of see, the pattern is all weird. We didn't really know what was going on. This is a blitz combo. This is a snake that says boa on it. So when we did a video on about being what do we call that, species confused? Yeah, you think you don't lay eggs, but you do. You're not a boa. You proved it. But her tail pattern is very much, I know, girly, a dead giveaway for what I want to show. There, you can see how it's completely eaten that pattern away. The pattern has changed from here to this back portion. You can see the calico. That's how we knew what we had. When I saw this snake in the egg, I almost thought I had twins because I saw 2 pieces like this, and they look so vastly different. I mean, she ain't going to do it now. She was curled kind of like that. They look like 2 different snakes. But that back third is going to be a hellaciously different pattern. And the calico and blitz interact that causes that. Not the pattern to be different, but that craziness of a difference. Get on in there, girlie. Now let me show you one that increases the amount of white. This is probably one of my favorite snakes in my collection. Old combo, been around forever. Be the second time I pulled her out today. And she is very, very pregnant, so she's a little bit cranky about this. This is a Calico Spider Pastel, or a Calibi. Now, when you pair a Calico Spider, which we've done that multiple times, we have sold all of them, they end up having high white. And of course, the pastel blows it up even another notch. But I want you to look up here versus back here on how much white there is. So you're still getting that change in the back portion of the snake. That is still certainly there. But you're going to see so much more white. So if you want that high white, there's ways to express it. There's ways to bring it out and bring it out more. I have seen these where you really only get in parts, very little bit of the scales being colored at all. Okay, I'm not going to keep you out very long, I promise. I know you are full of eggs. I'm probably stressing you. So we're going to go ahead and put her back just because of that. But this is a Calibi, so you can see in combos what Calico can do. It's kind of a, I feel like, an underrated morph, because by itself it's so variable, and that it ends up not being always the prettiest one on its own. Looked a lot of litter in there when I picked her up. But when you combo it like that, I guess for argument's sake, I should show you a nice bumblebee that's not got that combo in it. You know, it brightens everything up, adds in the white. So here is another very nice bumblebee, and you can see the difference between those two. So it makes that bumblebee 1,000 times better. Of course, this one is just starting to shed. If you look at his nose, it's going to peel off some skin for me. So it is looking a little dark right now. I got you in the beginning of your shed cycle. Sorry, girl. I'll put you back so you can finish what you were doing. But it's definitely going to be something that I think you're going to want in your collection to enhance those things, bring those things. It tends to make things very, very wonky, very, very crazy looking. So it's going to add a lot of chaos to what you're doing. So Calico, everybody wants to talk about, is going to cause this white portion. It does. But it also causes chaos. And you could see that in that what we call the Calicos, which is a Calico Blitz, by the way, if I didn't announce what's in there before. So when you have those genes together, you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Kurt, any questions about Calico?
Nope.
All right, well, if Kurt doesn't have any questions, and I don't either. So, again, guys, thanks for watching. I promise I'll get rid of the "that's what I'm talking about" 15 times in my next video. We'll see you next time.